Every time.
How are we doing?
Good. Very well.
No, not you. The
Oh,
setup.
oh,
Jesus, I
it's
don't
doing
care about
fine.
you.
It's doing fine. Just taking a second. Hmm. What am I gonna do here? All right, I'm shared.
Come on, Booger, pop up here. Come on, Booger. Okay. All right.
You good?
Hello. Hi. Yeah.
All right, whenever you're ready.
All set. It is the Brad and Britt cast. It's our last one for this week. Thank you for joining us. Big day for the kid yesterday. Big day for the kid.
What'd you do? What happened?
I don't know, but I'm getting this ridiculous echo in my head.
Oh,
So
I don't know. Hang on.
I have like a 10-second lag, which
Oh,
is that isn't just a delay. That's an extreme lag.
yeah, it's a way back.
So I can't do it this way.
Ding, ding, ding. Hang on a second.
Hang on, let me
Is
check.
that any better?
I may be getting your Facebook audio here instead of.
Oh, I see.
Let me
You got to
knock
close that
that
out.
out completely.
Yeah.
There we go. I got it.
Much better?
See how I handled it like a
Solved the
pro?
problem.
I did not create what would be a Bill O'Reilly style
Walk
meltdown.
off and scream and all that stuff. Yeah. Good for
Right.
you.
That's right. I didn't blame the crew.
Right.
Didn't blame management.
You went over you cleared the lowest hurdle possible. Good job.
Yes, I did. Yes, I did.
All right.
Yes, I did.
Start
All
over.
right. So the Brad and Britt cast is now starting. Thank you very much. Big day for the kid on Wednesday. we went out for the first time to a real restaurant. First
Holy
time.
cow.
Haven't done it.
That's
Didn't
amazing.
do it. Not important. Now, this doesn't count. I'm not counting pickup. I'm not talking about picking up a pizza. I'm just saying sitting down, real restaurant.
Right.
And it was very, very nice. It was good to get back to a semblance of normality, for which, again, it's a miracle of science. We can talk every day about people who want to deny the importance or the decency that you can exhibit by getting vaccinated, so that we push the numbers up and get as close to herd immunity as possible. But for the rest of us, and I guess pretty soon, if not already, we are vaccine elitists, are we not? Right? You always have to position and sympathize, supposedly, allegedly, which I don't, with people who really should get this vaccine. I'm talking about people with medical problems or things like that who really can't get it on doctor's orders. But we're supposed to sympathize with them and understand the reasons. A 43-year-old white male apparently really is reading up on his history and thinks there's a Tuskegee experiment going on 80 years later that we just don't know about, right? Or they watch who on what channel, and he keeps saying things crazier and crazier, and I don't even want to talk about the latest crazy thing. That's just pointless, because it's just pointless. I have no sympathy for these people, and they should be shunned.
Yeah.
And when you live anywhere in the country now where the rates have gone down enough that businesses and restaurants are operating close to normally, there's still little weird things like, oh, you have to have a mask to go in there. You have to have a mask to walk into this restaurant. It was Lucky 32 in Greensboro, for people that know. Would understand what that is. It's a great place, but you have to have a mask. So you walk in, have a mask on, and then we walk through to our table, and of course, no one is wearing a mask, because there's no rule that says you have to have a mask once you sit down and you start eating. So it's as if I walk by you with no mask on, and I'm vaccinated, and most of the people in the restaurant obviously are. That's a problem. So I still have to wear the mask. So they got to balance out those little idiotic inconsistencies. We understand that.
It's a tough time, and
it's
then
still
I think
pretty good.
in some places it's like, yeah, if you're face to face with somebody at the table, you don't have to wear it. So the virus only exists at this level, but if you stand up, you got to put the thing on. So it's odd. I get it.
And that's going to go away. That's going to go away. But clearly this is still about having, at some psychic level, to protect oneself from people who we now can assume are going to lie. For a while, they could have said, I'm proud that I'm not getting vaccinated. I'm not a sheep. I'm not going to let the government tell me what to do. But pretty soon, they're going to get smaller and smaller as a percent, and they're going to lie. But it won't matter to most of us, because we're vaccinated. And if that's the world they want to live in, and if they want to prevent their children from getting vaccinated, by the way, that's a whole new category. Are you hip to that? Because now that I guess 12 to 16-year-olds are getting cleared, and it's going to be even younger. It's going to be down to the age 2. Now we're going to play if you think I'm letting my kid get shot are you kidding? Are you not? So we're going to play that game. And then these will be the same people that say, why aren't the schools all open? It's the same circular dislogic that's going to ensue until at some point in the future we look back on this, just like people like you and I look back on November of 2016 and go, why the fuck did that happen?
Right.
We're going to look back on the way people showed their ability to be like the folks who broke away from England on this soil 240 years ago, that they were not going to be ruled by people telling them what to do. No king shall tell me that I must be vaccinated. Although I do have a new idea here. I think it should now be death, taxes, and vaccination. You shouldn't be able to escape any of those. You
All
can't
three
really
are
escape
inevitable. Yeah.
all three. They should be inevitable, but of course, they're not. And you can choose not to pay your taxes. Good luck on that.
Right. That doesn't work out so well
Right.
for a lot of people.
You don't have much choice eventually in dying, and you really shouldn't have much of a choice now in getting vaccinated. And these states that are passing laws that say you are not allowed to discriminate against people who are not vaccinated. You can't not have someone come to work who is not how did we get to this point so quickly? How did we advance to that? And by the way, good for employers who sadly are forced to dangle carrots in front of people to get them to get vaccinated. I'm sorry they have to do that. If you ever wanted to feel sorry for the employer, for the boss, this is the moment, okay? Because they really shouldn't have to waste their time trying to get you through carrots and days off and free donuts and beer and a day's extra.
Well, you saw the
The
National Football League is offering free tickets to, not employees, obviously, but obviously to folks who are outside, like 50 free tickets to the Super Bowl if you'll sign up, if you'll show your card. They've got a lottery and all that other stuff. That's one of the things that the NFL is doing.
Well, Britt, does that make you and me stupid? We just did it because we wanted the vaccine.
You're going to find this. You're going to find this a little difficult to believe. I have a coworker who they incentivized us, I guess they would call it. We may now, if you're fully vaccinated at my job, you were able to sit down at your workstation without wearing a mask. You can do that now. That was something that's fairly recent, the past 3 weeks. This guy said that would be his tipping point for getting the vaccine. He has a small child. This is what incentivized him and made him motivated to get the vaccine, was that he would be able to sit at his workstation mask free.
Right. So it was never, I can get it because I have a family member who I might be a carrier. Or
at some point,
or in the other direction. Yeah.
I might want to see my child graduate from high school, get married, have children. All of these things didn't do it, but sitting at his workstation mask free was the tipping point. There's the story. Most employers plan to incentivize workers to get the vaccine. Some will require it, which I'm sure conservatives will cry foul on. I again have to tell you that it would be most conservatives that have given the almighty power to the employer in something called right to work states, which are supposed to be the greatest thing in the history of ever. This will now be decried that an employer can make you get a vaccine to go to work. Mark my words, that's going to happen and is happening right now. Correct?
Sure.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Sure. But I don't think they're going to have a leg to stand on.
I don't either.
People who we will see whether Trump-appointed judges get picked to handle cases like this and rule either in the wrong direction, in our opinion, or in the direction that they all took when it came time to overturn the election. They all suddenly decided, I don't give a shit that Trump appointed me. I'm going to actually follow the law. So,
which brings us to this asshole right here yet again, having a tremendous week. Tucker Carlson making the claim that 30 people every day are dying from vaccines. He continues to go on a rampage. He has been denounced by people like Dr. Fauci and Sanjay Gupta and many others, but apparently the people who employ him don't really have a problem with him as long as he's bringing in those eyeballs at 8 o'clock every night. Tucker Carlson continuing to do what he can to fuck up America.
Right. Next subject. Okay.
No, well, I mean, what are you going
to say?
You can't say, you can't just dismiss this as there's nothing to say.
I'm not dismissing it, but there's nothing more to say. Again, there are certain people who I really wish would get hit by a bus crossing 6th Avenue when he walks out of that building. He's one of them. And for this and 1,000 other reasons. And the same with the guy down in Palm Beach, Florida. I wish a bus would hit him when he's crossing Ocean Boulevard. Not that there are that many buses on Ocean Boulevard in Palm Beach, but let's pick an imaginary idea. So
in any poll of Republicans for the 2024 nomination, when Donald Trump's name is taken out of there, Tucker Carlson is one of the top contenders. He's one of the guys. He could, and just like in 2016, Tucker Carlson could be the next president of the United States, Brad, thanks to the Electoral College. It's nice to just
right, but if we're not going to help him or hurt him by every day spending 15 minutes on what Tucker said, so I don't want to do it. I don't want to do it.
It's more and more outrageous. It's more and more ridiculous.
So what? I know that. Well, I understand that. But
and again, he's not just some random guy at 8 o'clock spouting shit off. He's a guy who could be the Republican nominee for president. He's that guy.
Go ahead. Go ahead, because I have nothing left to say about him. I wish he would die tomorrow. Is that enough? I wish he would die tonight. He should be dead. That network should be dead. There's nothing left. I'm not going to. Is there some arguing against him? Yes. Well, of course. But should he be stopped? Yes. Is he going to be stopped? No. And by the way, this is right up there, and this is not about you bringing up the subject. This is a broader thing that we apparently haven't learned anything, because we're taking the bait here. We're taking the bait big time by making him bigger, and not that we do it individually, but everybody is taking the bait by every day. What did Tucker say last night? Oh, we must react to it. Oh, he gets more viewers. Oh, that helps. Oh, but he doesn't have any advertisers. Why doesn't Fox fire him? They don't make money off of his show. They don't give a shit if they make money off of his show. They don't make money off of advertising that much on Fox. It's a small percentage of what they bring in. It's all about the money that fucking cable companies, like the one that I watch and the one that you see, Spectrum, pay fucking Fox so they can put their stupid ass channel on there. So it does not matter. It does not matter. They will not respond to pressure. So the transfer of the topic goes over to the fake hand-wringing every day about the quote-unquote civil war in the Republican Party over Liz Cheney. Well, guess what? There is no civil war. It's over. Right. There is no other side. They are what they are, and she is about to be taken out and shot, figuratively. Right. She's done. So there can't be a civil war unless there are two sides, and there are not two sides in the Republican Party. There is only the Trump side. The other side, they're like someone standing on top of a building with a gun, thinking that they're going to start World War III by shooting one person. It doesn't work that way. They've all bought into it. Every damn one of them. They're all afraid. They're all chicken. And there's no hand-wringing inside the Republican Party, as far as I can tell. And you know what? If there was, then it would be a big, hey, fuck you, your problem. Okay? We will deal with it from our point of view, which is doing the right thing, trying to help American people get what they want and need to succeed, and not be involved in this insane fealty to the lie of the century about Trump winning the election. And it's beyond trying to go, well, here we go again. Look what they did today. And you, as you know, I am a complete hypocrite and I'm inconsistent. And on Monday, I will probably come back and say, we got to talk about this. We can't let it go. I understand that. You know me. I've been this way since you've known me, right? But I do not want to countenance another whole thing about reading what Tucker said last night. Fuck him. It's just stupid. There's like several different, but there's a lot of different layers. The stupid Murdoch kids, Lachlan and Shlomo and Zeppo and Gummo and Harpo, all claiming to pretend they want to strike a new tone with the network and all this other horse shit. They're not pretending that,
which is ridiculous.
They're not saying that. Why are you saying that they're saying that? They're not pretending to strike a new tone.
Well, there's been all of this. There's been all of this stuff about
the one. Wrong. The one that is at Rupert's side is right up there with Rupert. He's even worse. Okay, I don't remember which one is one, but the one that's on the outside has no influence, and he is not going to get the network to change. Not going to turn them into a straight news channel. He's not going to cut he has no influence. So again, there's no civil war inside the Murdoch family either. Okay, they've made their bed. They've done it.
But do you think any of these people
Right.
do you think any of these people realize as reasonable human beings like ourselves do, and we're not even really all that reasonable, this is going to result in people dying? Do you think there's that connection among anybody who works at that network that he's saying this and that means people will die? Or do you think that somehow they're able to lie to them?
They don't care, and people who work there, and I'm sorry, and I think you and I can speak with great authority on this. Okay,
Yeah.
Here's the great authority that we have to say the following: that we know that most of them know they are promoting bullshit. They're lying, and yes, people will die because of what they permit and what they are a part of on the Fox News channel. And that is not confined to just between 8 and 11 at night, okay? The
Right.
people who are on during the rest of the day who play straight news person, who I went to the same journalism schools that the people at the other networks and the people at the New York Times did, and I'm just doing my job, and I'm on Fox at 1 in the afternoon, so don't tag me with what Tucker Carlson or Laura Ingraham or any of them say. That's not me. I'm a straight journalist at Fox. No, wrong. You are not. You are part of the problem because it's all one big ball of crap. And if you don't quit, and if you don't go somewhere else to try to ply your trade, then you are just as guilty. You are just like Republican voters who vote in the politicians and fall for the lies that they tell. You're voting. You're voting with you. Now, do I want to have a job? Do I want to have a paycheck? Yes, I do. I work at Fox and I want to continue. All right. So now you and I said we are not going to bend to bullshit. We are not going to pretend that we are something that we are not on 2 radio stations, two different ones. One, we were very successful. The other one, we were very successful, but it didn't matter. And they still said, no, we can't have this. And I would tell you to do Little Rush, the imitation, 1,000 more times. And the best thing that happened on WBT was between 3 and 6 o'clock when they had 2 guys on, you and me.
Yeah.
And we were making fun of whatever happened to self-effacing humor. Well, I know what happened to it. It's called conservatism. They have none. They can't handle the truth. They cannot make fun of themselves. They cannot laugh at themselves. And you and I said, too bad. That's what we are, and so be it. And it's a right-wing sewer talk radio. They all are.
Right. And
the Republican Party is a right-wing sewer pretending to be a political party right now. Just think about that. When you can name, not even on one hand, publicly, the people who have been willing to break publicly with Trumpism, that's a problem. And there's no civil war, because you can't fight a civil war with one hand versus 10,000 hands, because that's what's going on. And the big thing is, they want to replace Liz Cheney with Lane Stefanik. And did you know that Liz Cheney voted more times with Donald Trump than Lane Stefanik? What's going on with that? Oh, fuck off. Just fuck off with bringing that up. It doesn't matter. It's Lane Stefanik blows Donald Trump's dick. She sucks it. She sucks it. Liz Cheney does not. She's not interested. That's the only difference. It doesn't matter how she voted on the wall 3 years ago. It's not relevant. It doesn't mean anything. And so to bring that up is almost to give the Republicans cover for saying, well, yeah, we got to get rid of Liz Cheney because this other person is more loyal to Donald Trump. Oh, we'll just mention that it's a slight bit weird that the person they want to put in there didn't vote with Trump quite as much as Liz Cheney, but you should just know that little fun fact. Let's move on. Forget it.
Well, I don't think that's helpful to
made
them.
Their bed.
I don't think it's helpful to them at all. It's like, then why, if she was so supportive of Donald Trump, then why are you replacing her? That's the take that you should be getting out of this. And of course, the take is exactly as you said. Elise Stefanik has been completely forgiving, or at least willfully ignorant, of Donald Trump inciting violence against the Capitol. And Elise Stefanik, she continues to turn a blind eye to it. Meanwhile, Liz Cheney wants to hold Donald Trump responsible for what happened on January the 6th. That's the bottom line on that. That's the deal.
And just think about the position that the rest of us on the outside are put in looking at this. Wow, we're for Liz Cheney. How could that be? She's dreadful. She's dreadful. So right. Think of the continuum of dreadfulness that is whatever the Republican Party actually is these days. Yeah, Liz Cheney, one of the good guys. Why? For one reason and one reason only. The rest of them, all horrible for one reason and one reason why. And that's all that matters. There's nothing else to talk about. There are no policy debates. That means nothing. Taxes don't mean nothing. That's all shit. That's all crap. That's all stuff that Fox will push on their channel as being the real reason that Joe Biden must be opposed at every moment. At every moment. It's why Mitch McConnell reprised what he said about Barack Obama, which is, our goal is to make Obama a one-term president. And now here it is, 11 years later, and he's in effect saying the same thing. Our entire reason for being is to oppose everything Joe Biden is doing. He just said it. He just said it. So again, let's wind back the clock for the last 3 months since Biden became the alleged president. Ha ha ha! Isn't that funny?
That's hilarious.
That's funny. That Joe Biden promised unity. Why won't Joe Biden? He's lied.
That's
he didn't
great.
mean it. And if you're going to come out and say the only thing that we need to do as Republicans is just oppose Joe Biden on everything, how do you unify? How do you sit down? How do you have a discussion again with people whose scorched earth approach to government, which is unity for Republicans, is you cave into everything we want, and then we're unified. That'll work.
Well, don't you eventually think that the revisionist history is going to be that Joe Biden caused people to attack the Capitol on January the 6th? Don't you think that's going to be?
I'm surprised that isn't in place already.
Yeah.
What's taking so long?
Yeah. Right? When you guys are off message if you're not totally going for that.
Yeah. When Joe Biden sent in his stormtroopers on January 6th.
Why did he do that, Brad? Why
you can't make it up. You can't come up with a dumb enough version.
Let's do a juxtaposition of two stories. Here we go. This one, the law banning transgender student athletes splintering the GOP. Apparently, this is their new culture war thingy, and it's going hard. They're going hard to the hoop on this one. Transgender athletes should not be allowed to play sports. It's going over like gangbusters in some states. In other states, the governor has had to step in and override a veto. They vetoed it, and then they've had to try to override the governor's veto on this stuff. So you have that story that's playing, and it's onward Christian soldiers on that one. Meanwhile, I don't know if you noticed, but they have a new favorite candidate for California governor over on Fox, and the full hour was spent with Sean Hannity last night as Caitlyn Jenner was telling folks that friends are fleeing California because of homeless people. Two separate stories being juxtaposed there to Fox at a full hour. Sean Hannity sat down and gave Caitlyn Jenner an entire hour because that is the Fox cudgel against Gavin Newsom, who they consider to be a failed, awful governor in the state of California. Brad, how can you balance these two ideas?
Right. I haven't followed closely state California politics at all. I just see the headlines like you do about Bruce Jenner, now Caitlyn Jenner, running. by the way, is that bigoted to say that?
You're not supposed
Am
to
I
use. You're not
already a
supposed to use
bad
the
guy
dead.
for saying
You're not supposed to
you're
use the
not
dead
supposed to
name.
ever?
No, the
Really?
dead name is
It's just
dead, allegedly.
well, let me ask you a question. What if I have a book about
Burn it.
the
Supposed to burn it.
1976 Olympics or whenever he won?
Nope. You have
And
to.
it has Bruce Jenner. And does that person not exist anymore?
If you have a box of Wheaties with Bruce Jenner's his signature on it, you're supposed to burn that. You're supposed to get rid of that. Let's have a book burning and a cereal box burning.
I would think that the sudden and welcome drop in coronavirus cases in California would put Gavin Newsom much more into the driver's seat to retain his job than before, because I thought that the overwhelming anger that was building in California was closures and schools not open and all the things that the rest of the country has been dealing with. But in California, everything really is bigger. And in California, it always does involve really a lot more people than in any other state. And now that is receding, that kind of takes the steam out of the engine of the recall people, right? And if your leading candidate is Caitlyn Jenner, at least who gets the most publicity because, they're the most famous person, state that elected Arnold Schwarzenegger once, who, by the way, looking back now, Arnold Schwarzenegger is like Winston Churchill compared to Caitlyn Jenner in terms of his thoughtfulness and his decency and his love of the country from the most basic foundation on up. But that's not important. I don't know what's going to happen. I got another blast from the past name that I just saw today who wants to run for office again. And this is a name that has been around politics so long that it goes back to when I was a kid. When I was 14, this person first got elected to office to the Cleveland City Council in 1969 at age 23, youngest person to ever achieve that. 8 years later, he became the youngest mayor of a major city in the country. In 1977, at age 31, Dennis Kucinich. And he's been in the Ohio State Senate since then. He's been in the Ohio State House since then. He is now, I believe, 74 years old. And he's saying, I want to run for mayor of Cleveland again. And I say, he's a front-running son of a bitch. And here's why. Because the Browns are going to win it this year.
The Browns are awesome.
He wants to be the mayor when the Browns finally win a Super Bowl. But, wow, you talk about a long-term, a guy who just can't give it up, who just wants to be part of the game. And, by the way, Dennis Kucinich he's actually, I think he's a pretty good guy. I think he's a very smart politician. He's very often says things that other people are afraid of saying, but he's a thoughtful, decent human being. And I just find that the length of his career just stunning. 1969. So that's 52 years ago.
Good Lord.
He won his first election and he's still running. He is still running. I say good for him. Way more interesting to me in a way than Caitlyn Jenner running for governor of California. And you're a big Cleveland fan too.
Sure.
And I think that's a good sign for the Browns this year in the NFL. And maybe even the Indians in the fall. Who knows?
Well, the Indians are tied for first place right now.
There you go.
A scant month into the season, but still, you'd say that's okay.
Right.
So,
go ahead.
What do you make of this? What do you make of this as a culture war issue, and how folks are going to be? You have to be on the right side of this, right?
I don't think that most people are that worked up about it. I think there's a lot of just live and let live. If someone who's a guy decides to become a female and still has enough physical characteristics that you look at them and you go, wait a minute. There are legitimate questions. I don't know how they're answered. But one way I know they're not answered is to just cheap shot it and say that the world is unfair to everybody else because we're going to make sure that you can't participate because you're a transgender person. I mean, I don't know. I mean, we're not going to have 3 tennis teams. We're not going to have a boys team, a girls team, and a transgender team.
Yeah,
Maybe
but
that would actually be the real answer if you want, if there could be one. But that's not going to happen. I don't know.
This is the first cousin. I think this is the first cousin of 2016 North Carolina, in which it was alleged that transgender people are going to get sex changes so they can go in and rape your babies in a restroom somewhere. That's what it feels like. You're trying to turn these people into freaks, and you're trying to make sure that they're minimized and shoved to the edges and hiding in the bushes of society. And I think that there's a lot of conservatives that love that. That's a hit record they can get with. Look, I'll go back to the Caitlyn Jenner story. The headline here was, homeless people are making people flee California. So if you talk to some...
That's just stupid.
Well,
that's dumb.
Look, that one plays. If you're somebody who is in, again, we're talking about rural Republican voters. And sometimes these are people that live in very small towns, and sometimes they might go and visit large cities from time to time, and homeless people scare them, Brad. Homeless people frighten them. They don't know what to make of that.
You know what? Nobody anywhere is thrilled to see homeless people, no matter where you live. And it's not just confined to cities in California. It's everywhere. No one likes to see people who have to stand on the exit when you get off the highway holding a sign, begging for money. But that doesn't drive you to sell your house and move to another state. Okay. Again, there is no logic.
But you understand
right. You're right because they bring shit up. It's all we have to talk about. Are they right? Do they make sense? Is it appealing to people? Is it going to move voters? I understand that, but there is a point. And by the way, nobody moved out of New York because of the fake war on Christmas when the Rockefeller Center Christmas tree was put up 2 days late, or whatever kind of stupid thing they used to prove that there was some kind of war on Christmas, or somebody at Bergdorf Goodman's said happy holidays to someone instead of Merry. That doesn't make people move out of a state. That's not what.
But don't you understand, when they move out of California, there's no homeless people in Houston or Dallas or San Antonio or Austin or even Brownsville or Beaumont. There's no homeless people there in Texas. So that's why they would move out of California.
Well, but see, in Texas, they're all Mexicans, and those aren't real people anyway. So there's no need to be concerned about.
Are those people are those actors that George Soros has moved in to make it look homeless, or how does that work? I'm not sure how that works.
Yeah, crisis homeless actors.
Oh. Right. I got to put this one up because this is going to be a good one. The New York Post fronting Twitter suspends Trump from the desk account despite no Team Trump. Are you up on this story?
Yeah.
They thought they figured out a way around this. What they did, they had a huge announcement from Team Trump that he had invented a new social media platform, and he was going to be able to post on this thing called From the Desk, which is nothing more than, I believe they called it 20 years ago, a blog. I think that's what it was called 20 years ago. So they created
he was going to do like a WordPress thing, like the kind of thing that when you first heard about the internet. How do you do a blog on the internet? Well, you go to this thing called WordPress and you set it up. And those were the most primitive, they were very effective in their day. And people got famous off of some of them. And some of them turned into the very successful, famous news websites that I'm sure the Talking Points Memo and things like that, and Daily Cost, all started out that way, right? With no graphics, no nothing.
20 years ago.
Text. Right. So
now they created a Twitter account to help promote what he was saying and now the New York Post is wringing their hands because Twitter has suspended this account from the desk despite no link to Team Trump. There's no leak. There's no link whatsoever, except that it's the exact words of Donald Trump through a website. Other than that, there's no there's no link whatsoever. And the New York Post is really upset about this, Brad. I think it's just so unfair.
Good. Do you have any other Rupert fucking Murdoch stories that we have to react to that you fall for? Stop it! Stop it!
This is the what's going on the From the Desk account today. The fake news media in working in close conjunction with big tech and the radical left Democrats. This looks just like his tweets, except there's a lot more. You're not limited as to the number of characters that's going on. This is what he's posting. They're trying to talk about how the 2020 election is the big hoax, not all the bullshit about Russia from the words and from the desk of Donald J. Trump, which may be in Florida, it may be in New Jersey. I'm not sure if that transition. Oops, there's that word transition. Tee sorry. I don't know if that's happened yet. Has he fully moved up to Jersey for the summer, Brad?
What do I look like? A stalker? I know where he is at any given moment.
There's this website called Did Duke Lose? For people who hate Duke University. Did Trump move? And then they just say yes or no based on all of that stuff. But you still have to, we can act like, and we are tired of seeing Donald Trump, but it's not like he's not running the Republican Party. It's not like they just, Ted Cruz just this week had to go down there and show that he was kissing Donald Trump's ass at Mar-a-Lago, and the president's in great spirits, and he's ready to rock in 2024. He's still the leading candidate in 2024.
I understand that, but here's the positive thing. I'm going to try to pull out something positive from all this blather.
Okay.
All this subject matter that you bring up about Murdoch's and the New York Post and Fox and Trump and the rest, that it gives the only Democrat that matters, Joe Manchin of West Virginia, more space to pull back from supporting opposition to his own party. Because every once in a while you will see him pop up and say, oh, that's just fucking too crazy. I can't be with that. And you see what he's doing. He's starting to create space. And they're giving him every hour on the hour a reason to say, hey, 50 baby, I'm with you. And I know there's a couple other senators who are right behind him, Kirsten Sinema of Arizona, and at least one other Democrat or two. But Manchin is the one that gets the attention. And the craziness, the nuttiness, and the mendacity of Republicans in general, and the bad will and the bad faith that they are showing, that's what moves Joe Manchin back into the fold, I think. And it allows, even if Joe Manchin becomes the de facto Republican negotiator on the size of a tax increase, and the marginal rate doesn't go from whatever it is, 17% all the way to 28%. If it goes to 25, if there's a compromise because Manchin says, I can go for 25, not 28, then that's fine. That'll work. Biden will sign off on that, and the Democrats will pass a lot of this legislation 50-50 with Kamala Harris. How do you say her name again? I can't remember. How do you say? Come on.
Oh, it's hilarious.
They will. Right. It's funnier every time you do it. That moves Manchin back. I don't know if that's true. I'm just thinking that's possible. It seems possible to me. Yeah.
Well, you're right. I should focus on some real stories, and there are some real stories out here, including Ron DeSantis, who is a huge asshole and possibly the guy who is maybe the biggest competitor with Tucker Carlson for that 2024 GOP nomination should Donald Trump not run. He has signed a new voting restrictions law in Florida. This continues to be the great march across America as they try to get people from voting, Brad, at least people who would not vote Republican. Any thoughts on DeSantis, what a massive asshole he is, and, of course, all of this voting restriction, which continues to march on and possibly will be challenged in courts across America very soon?
Well, again, we've walked on this ground before. This is what they do. This is what they are. And DeSantis is a seemingly more masterful practitioner of this dark Republican art of disunity, racism, and all kinds of Trumpish kinds of things with what often appears to be a more reasonable face. That's his game. You know, I'm Trump without the craziness. I'm Trump. And I think he proved that yesterday, and then he didn't prove it yesterday, because when he signed this piece of legislation, it was live on TV, but it
Fox
was
and
only
Friends.
live.
It was live on Fox and Friends
in the morning. In other words, that law is part and parcel of the narrow casting to the people who think that Donald Trump was robbed of the election in 2020, that it was ripped off from him. But DeSantis, who not that long ago, remember, we had the famous signing of that other piece of legislation, right? The one that was signed in front of the painting of the plantation,
right,
in Florida. Remember that one?
I do.
No, that was Georgia. I'm sorry.
In Georgia, right?
Fact check myself here.
Well, additionally,
right, in Georgia, when they signed the equivalent legislation in Georgia, right, Brian Kemp wouldn't let any members of the press in, and when the Democratic legislator knocked on the door to see the ceremony, she was summarily arrested. Well, Ron DeSantis is a little bit more evil and cunning than that, so he didn't have anyone arrested. He just made it a morning cut-in on Fox and Friends.
It was a Fox and Friends exclusive. No other members of the media in Florida were allowed to cover this. It was a Fox and Friends exclusive.
Well, it's a fake. That's a complete fake. And by the way, as you know, one of my super pet peeves is the use of the word exclusive. It never means anything ever. It never means.
Well, this was not carried. I don't think this was carried on any other channel, though. I don't think anybody else. They said
but exclusive. Again, the word is completely ripped to shreds when it's something like this. When a politician is doing something that is completely in the public realm, completely open to all citizens in terms of what should be their accessibility to the moment, to turn it into any other little news blip that a channel would be doing on its own, that's the lowest of the low. That's a dictatorship. That's state TV.
Right.
That's my network only. That's everybody else is not welcome. And he did that for a variety of reasons, not just the reach of that channel, but because if you would have had people from the New York Times or CNN or name your other, or the Miami Herald, anybody in there, he would have been bombarded with questions while he was signing it. And then you'd have that visual of him pretending he couldn't hear the question, ignoring it.
I don't know that.
And so he didn't want that. He wanted the perfect photo op, which was everybody pretending that this was a wonderful piece of legislation needed by the citizens of Florida so that they have more confidence in the election process, that voter integrity is paramount. And I'm signing it right now for you here, Florida. Thank you. This has been a Fox News alert.
And now here's a really tough question from Steve Ducey. Go ahead, hit me with just a killer. It's going to be tough. I hope I can answer it. That's what's going on.
Right. So that's what this is all about. It's horrible, and this is what they are doing. And by the way, remember, we were pretty close to that being a reality where we are, except we have a Democratic governor, so that doesn't happen. That's the only reason. If you don't think if fucking Pat McCrory was the governor, if you don't think that Dan Forrest was the governor,
100%.
that he wouldn't be signing the same kind of shit,
Absolutely.
and that he wouldn't be excluding WBTV, he wouldn't be excluding the Raleigh News and Observer, that he wouldn't be.
Well, the point of all of that is that Ron DeSantis is running for president, and he knows that his audience is going to be on Fox, and that's who he needs to appeal to. And that's why he did it. That's why he made the exclusive.
No doubt.
The other Fox and Friends of course, is Brian Kilmeade beating up on young children who decide that they say that Joe Biden's doing a better job than Donald Trump did with the virus. You saw that story as well. This is the big Fox. These are the Fox and Friends stories this week. Is that they're promoting Ron DeSantis for president, obviously, and giving him an exclusive
beating up on children,
and then beating up on
wait, I got one last one from the files here. Okay, we do believe in the rule of threes, right?
Sure.
The rule of threes, very often we say applies to famous people who die. Somebody dies, and then two more people die. It just seems it's always that way. But what about in the world of divorce? You have Jeff Bezos and Bill Gates.
Oh no,
divorcing. Now, if you're Mark Zuckerberg,
yeah, you
come on. And his wife, if I'm her, I'm going down to LegalZoom.com and making sure that I'm taken care of here.
Yeah, that would be
gotta be.
Those would be the
resources. It's got to be three.
Well, yeah, those would be the resources available to her. LegalZoom. Not any divorce attorney that she wanted on planet Earth, but LegalZoom. That's going to be what she.
No, that's all she could come up. That's all she could scrape because he gives her only gives her $100 a week allowance.
That's right.
Yeah. All right.
That'll finish up our week.
We are finished. We are finished. We'll see you next week. Thank you.
Enjoy that weekend, everybody. See ya.